I signed into law the organic law for Bangsamoro region for Muslim Mindanao. Just tell them that it's not acceptable anymore. Either we impose a total ban or we can have the court.
As soon as this is passed by Congress, there will no longer be stumbling blocks in eliminating contractual.
Boracay is already clean.
Concern is human rights. Mine is human lives.
New hope, new beginnings. That's what this brand new year brings. But as we gather new stories to pursue for 2019, we take a look at the biggest achievement of the government alongside the biggest news in 2018. Join us in the second part of the year-end special of the PNA Newsroom. As the first Philippine president from Mindanao, President Rodrigo Duterte has made federalism one of his major campaign promises during the 2016 elections. However, it was only in 2018 where efforts to push for this new system of government went into full swing. Rom Dulfo reports.
In January this year, President Duterte signed the appointment of members of the Consultative Committee or CONCOM to review the 1987 Constitution with former Chief Justice Renato Puno as chairman. This after he signed Executive Order No. 10 creating the CONCOM, which was tasked to study, conduct consultations, and review provisions of the 1987 Constitution and draft a proposed federal constitution which was expected to distribute powers and resources among the regions. The President's CONCOM held its first session on February 19, where Puno urged its members to ensure that the federal government will be possessed with the power to hold together the Union in perpetuity and with the energy and the endurance to convert to robust reality the dreams of our people. On July 9, the CONCOM turned over its draft Bayanihan Federal Constitution to the President. It also released the official copy to the media and the public to allow them to freely debate and deliberate on every article, every section, every sentence, and every word in the draft Constitution. The CONCOM presented its proposed federal charter to the House of Representatives and Senate on July 11 and 17 respectively. Also on July 17, the CONCOM released its final and official draft of the proposed federal charter which bars Duterte from running in the 2022 elections. Duterte also reiterated that he has no intention to stay beyond the end of his term in 2022 regardless of what constitution is in place. On July 26, Malacanang said the government has around 90 million pesos for its public information drive to explain the benefits of the country will get under the proposed federal system of government. Meanwhile, 10 million pesos will go to the PCOO, which will be tasked to produce information drive materials. A Pulse Asia survey conducted from September 1 to 7 showed that only 3% of Filipinos wanted the government to focus on federalism, while more than half or 63% of Filipinos believed the administration must first address inflation. On October 31, the federalism drive started to gain momentum after the president created an interagency task force on federalism to raise public awareness on the proposed new system of government. The palace is still confident the Senate will support federalism after the proposed 2019 national budget is passed. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The Bangsamoro Organic Law was one of the most important priority measures of the Duterte administration passed this year. This renews the prospect of bringing lasting peace and ending armed conflict in Mindanao. More on this from Janice Cabe.
The Bangsamoro Organic Law and the Philippine System Identification were among the list of 183 new laws signed by President Rodrigo Duterte in 2018. Duterte signed Republic Act 11054 on July 27 to replace the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao with a new Bangsamoro government designed to bring the elusive lasting peace in Mindanao. The BOL is considered as one of Duterte's biggest legislative achievements, which will give the Moro people basic legal tools to chart their own destiny within the country's constitutional framework. Meanwhile, the President also approved RA 11055 creating PhilSys or National ID, which serves as a single official identification card for all citizens and foreign residents in the country. He said PhilSys will boost the government's drive against social menaces of poverty, corruption, and criminal issues, as well as terrorism and violent extremism. The President also signed RA 11053 or the Anti-Hazing Act of 2018 as well as RA 11032 or an act promoting ease of doing business and efficient delivery of government services. He also made substantial achievements in governance through the issuance of executive orders and memorandum circulars, particularly those that bolstered his campaign against environment exploitation, terrorism, insurgency, and illegal drugs. A total of 241 presidential proclamations have also been approved in 2018, many of them declaring special non-working days in different areas of the country. Proclamation 572 was the most controversial as it revoked the amnesty granted to the Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. Duterte meanwhile signed 5 administrative orders in 2018 including AO number 13 which removed non-tariff barriers and streamlined administrative procedures on the importation of agricultural products, particularly rice. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Despite President Duterte's recent order to wipe out local insurgents, he has nevertheless made efforts to lend a hand in establishing peace and end armed conflict. More on this from Maricor Zapata.
As the government aims to achieve peace, President Rodrigo Duterte has created a national task force to end local communist armed conflict and adopt a national peace framework in the country. Under Executive Order Number 70, the task force is mandated to formulate a national peace framework, which shall include a mechanism for local peace engagements or negotiations and interventions within 6 months. The President will lead the task force as chairman, while the National Security Advisor will serve as the vice chair. The task force will stop functioning as soon as it accomplishes its purpose, unless the President dissolves it sooner. Earlier, Duterte terminated peace negotiations, stressing that communist rebels continuously attacked military and police personnel, also refusing to lay down their arms despite ongoing talks. The government, however, remains open to localized peace talks, but only under the President's conditions, which include holding them in the Philippines. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
As the government pursues the military's modernization, the Philippine Navy became one of the first to receive upgraded hardware aimed at improving defense of the country's territories. Here's my report. 2018 can be considered as a banner year for the armed forces of the Philippines, especially the Philippine Navy, as it formally entered the Missile Age and demonstrated its capability to sail beyond its territorial waters during deployments to the United States, South Korea, and Russia. This is aside from projected deliveries of new assets for 2019, such as the Augusta Westland AW159 Wildcat helicopters and the Pohang-class frigate donated by South Korea to the Philippines. The Philippine Navy's formal entry to the Missile Age took place in Lamao Point, Limay, Bataan last November 21 during a capability demonstration witnessed by Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana and Navy Flag Officer in Command Vice Admiral Robert Empedrad. During the exercise, the multi-purpose assault craft fired 2 Spike-ER missiles which hit 2 surface targets. The said craft also utilized remote-controlled 50 caliber machine guns to neutralize another target. A single Spike-ER missile costs an estimated 10 million pesos. The Spike-ER system, which arrived in the country last April, is the Navy's first missile capable of penetrating 1,000 millimeters of rolled homogeneous armor and has a range of 8 kilometers. The multi-purpose assault crafts are high-speed naval craft capable of speeds in excess of 40 knots and can be utilized for a variety of naval missions like patrol and fire support missions for troops. It can also be armed with machine guns, missiles, and a variety of other weapons. With the successful integration of the Spike ER surface-to-surface missile to the Navy's multi-purpose assault craft squadron, more capable and more powerful missile weaponry are now in the pipeline for the Navy. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill. Still to come, the entry of the third major telco player highlights improvements in the local telco industry this year. The World Bank expects the Philippines to remain one of the fastest growing economies in East Asia. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Over the past 2 years, the Philippine Information Agency, the government's primary information and the PCOO's on-ground communications arm, has stayed true to its mandate of delivering timely, relevant, and accurate information down to every Filipino. Let's look back at what we have accomplished so far. Beginning 2016, as President Rodrigo Roa Duterte took office, we continued the decades of work produced by the agency, adding new concepts and activities along the way. PIA has 16 regional offices and 72 provincial information centers. This paved the way for the revitalization of grassroots communication as priority for the agency. We relaunched the Development Communication Network, a synergy of government communicators across the country focused on effectively bringing down information to all sectors across the country. To further engage the grassroots, we conducted 2,968 kapihans, press conference, and several events, and introduced new puppet shows on River Warrior for the Pasig River rehabilitation and Pinakamabisang Sandata on conflict resolution. With respect to the rise of digital resources and social media, PIA Central and all regional offices now maintain their own Facebook and Twitter accounts. Digital Communications Unit was also created to keep up with advancements online, particularly on social media. We also ramped up the production and dissemination of information, education, and communication materials to aid this administration's campaigns and projects of national government agencies.
The days of slow internet and communication services are coming to an end as the government pursued this year the launching of the country's third major telco player and other reforms in the telco industry. Janice Cave has his story.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology managed to implement various initiatives aimed at ensuring faster and affordable communication services to the Filipino public in 2019. A significant achievement for the DICT this year is the selection of the third major player in the telco industry that will compete with the existing duopoly of PLDT and Globe Telecom. The National Telecommunications Commission has awarded the third telco slot to Mislatel Consortium after it has won the bidding that was conducted last November 7. Mislatel, which is a joint venture of Udena Corporation of businessman Dennis Uy and Chinese state-owned firm China Telecom, has committed to provide internet speeds of 55 Mbps, covering 84% of the population with capital expenditures of around 250 billion pesos over a 5-year period. The consortium stands to lose its performance bond of 24 billion pesos or 10% of its capex if it would fail to make good on its commitments. The third telco player was selected based on its financial and technical capability to deliver high-quality communication services to the country. Meanwhile, PLDT and Globe Telecom have welcomed the entry of the new telco player, saying this promotes competition in the industry and will benefit the consumers. PLDT said it is eyeing to increase its capital expenditures next year for the deployment of its wireless services and rollout of fifth-generation technology or 5G cell sites across the country. For its part, Globe said the new player has the potential of opening new sources of revenue streams for telcos while providing consumers with more innovative products and services. The selection of the third telco player was the culmination of an initiative started in November last year when President Rodrigo Duterte pushed for the entry of a new telco firm in the country that can compete with the existing duopoly in providing faster and affordable internet services to the public. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Amid efforts by the government to improve food stocks and productivity, typhoons and climate change dealt a heavy blow on the agriculture sector, causing its growth to slow down this year. This report. The Department of Agriculture says the country's agricultural sector posted a meager 2.5% growth this year compared to last year's 4%. Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol attributed this to several typhoons that hit the country, most especially Typhoon Ompong, which brought more than 32 billion pesos worth of damages to the farm sector in September. Meanwhile, output gains were recorded in the production of high-value crops such as coconut, sugarcane, banana, pineapple, coffee, mango, tobacco, abaca, tomato, and rubber, he said. In the fisheries subsector, the DA notes the downtrend in production of milkfish, tiger prawn, round scad, and yellowfin tuna. It says one of the causes is the limited supply of fingerlings and inferior quality fingerlings. On the other hand, tilapia production increased due to the normal water level and adequate oxygen level in freshwater fish cages and the reopening of closed freshwater fish ponds in central Luzon. Skipjack tuna or tambakol production increased as well as more unloadings were reported for canneries in Mindanao due to the distribution of gillnets and hook and lines by the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, Region 9, through the local government units to municipal fishermen. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill. From being scorned as one of the worst airports in the world, the Ninoy Aquino International Airport underwent drastic improvement throughout the Duterte administration. This as NAIA's management vows to play its role as a world-class gateway to the country. Maricor Zapata reports.
Improved facilities and enhanced security. These are the major achievements at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport in 2018. First is the completion of the rapid exit taxiways, which saved time since the aircraft would not need to wait or traverse the whole length of the runway. Last September, 2 new rapid exit taxiways were opened at the NAIA, helping the aircraft exit faster and transit to the 4 terminals of the airport. There are now 4 taxiways at the NAIA. 2 can accommodate small aircraft like the A320, and the other 2 can accommodate larger wide-bodied aircraft. Another improvement is the replacement of passengers boarding bridges. The new glass aero bridges are equipped with CCTV cameras and are designed with programmable motor controller, ground power unit ready, and are air-conditioned. The installation of electronic gates or e-gates is also a big leap for the country's international airport, as passenger entry only takes about 8 to 15 seconds. This helps in reducing the long queues at immigration counters and for faster processing. In terms of security, continuous training and interagency coordination with other countries or the international police are conducted. The Bureau of Immigration is connected 24/7 live with the Interpol. Technical improvements also took place at the NAIA with the use of a state-of-the-art system. This enables immigration officers to protect those who are going out of the country by checking stolen passports and counterfeit documents. The International Airport Authority says it will strive even harder to give passengers a seamless airport experience. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
The World Bank has taken notice of the Philippine economy's growth potential despite its lowered expectations. Rob Dulfo reports.
The World Bank expects the Philippines to remain one of the fastest-growing economies in the East Asia and the Pacific region, even after it slightly revised downward its projection on the country's growth rate for the next 2 years. In a statement, the World Bank said it reduced growth projections for the Philippines to 6.4% in 2018 from 6.5% and 6.5% in 2019 from 6.7% to reflect recent economic trends. The Washington-based multilateral lender said while persistent high inflation may temper private consumption growth in the fourth quarter of 2018, a moderation in inflation in following quarters is expected to boost consumer confidence and raise private consumption next year. It also cited the midterm election in May, which is expected to strengthen consumption by temporarily raising employment and disposable incomes in early 2019. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Up next, relations between the Philippines and China reach bigger heights. The military vows to remain vigilant in defending the country's territories. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
One of these television shows is Like Pinas, a weekly magazine show that highlights high-impact government projects, local attractions, food, and Filipino culture. In 2017, it was nominated as Best Cultural Program in Catholic Mass Media Award, and in 2018 won the ANAC TV Award. The big story last year was the Philippines hosting of the ASEAN 50th Anniversary and 31st Summit, for which PIA provided extensive communication support. Armed with ASEAN messaging, we also launched information kiosks and held multi-sectoral forums in selected sites in the Philippines. Also, we gave support to the Philippine Development Plan campaign, Aksyon para sa Ambisyon Nating 2040, Matatag, Maginhawa at Panatag na Buhay, through the production of IEC materials in both traditional and new media. Through its array of channels dedicated to the service of every Filipino, PIA disseminated crucial information on the Marawi crisis, from the siege to its present rehabilitation. We now sit as the lead of the Task Force Bangon Marawi, Information Management and Strategic Communications Support Group. The 116 information caravans we launched nationwide included the Information and Servisyo Caravan conducted for Maranaos of Marawi City.
We also utilized monitoring systems, including SMS and email blasting, to provide news and information alerts on the Marawi conflict and the declaration of martial law in Mindanao.
In the realm of communication research and issues monitoring, we produced These accomplishments will only serve as inspiration to do more under a solid mandate, informing every Filipino.
China has been seen as the antagonist in the Philippines' assertion of its territorial rights. But through President Duterte's foreign policy, the Asian superpower has become one of the country's biggest allies and trading partners. Janice Cave has this story.
The Chinese embassy in Manila says 2018 marked a great milestone in China-Philippines relations as it witnessed the historic visit of President Xi Jinping to Manila and the signing of landmark agreements between the two nations. Xi visited the Philippines in November and saw the signing of 29 documents covering Beijing and Manila's functional cooperation in various fields. The two countries reached a consensus to upgrade their bilateral ties to a relationship of strategic cooperation. China stands as the Philippines' top trading partner. Its bilateral trade topped $500 billion in 2017 and reached almost $47 billion last October, representing a year-on-year increase of 11%. In the past 2 years, China has imported more than 2 million tons of tropical fruits worth $1.5 billion from the Philippines. On people-to-people ties, China in 2018 emerged as the second-largest tourist origin to the Philippines. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat earlier reported that 1,059,788 Chinese tourists visited the country, already surpassing the 2017 figure by 30.71%. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The Philippines continues to assert its sovereignty over its maritime territories, with the military vowing to maintain security in the West Philippine Sea. More on this from Maricor Zapata.
Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana says the country will continue patrolling the West Philippine Sea and will keep on protesting if they see any actions of the Chinese inconsistent with Philippine national interest. The Department of National Defense Chief also calls on the improvements on the housing accommodation for troops deployed there, especially in Pag-asa Island. Runway to be repaired, as well as the beach ramp, which is already 42% completed. The ramp will allow the necessary materials and equipment to be brought over and repair the runway. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Filipino workers received perks from the government this year as the Labor Department ended contractualization and granted wage hikes in response to the growing needs of wage earners and their families. This report.
Among the significant accomplishments of the Department of Labor and Employment was the granting of the 25 peso wage increase to minimum wage earners in Metro Manila. The increase makes the minimum daily wage salary from 512 pesos to 537 pesos in Metro Manila. It took effect last November 22. As for the Duterte administration's campaign against contractualization, DOLE Secretary Silvestre Bello III reported that over 400,000 workers have been regularized. Bello said, as of December 3, the department regularized 411,449 workers, including some 11,660 workers of the SM chain. DOLE also reports additional 826,000 jobs generated in 2018, translating to over 41 million employed workers nationwide. This is said to be 2% higher than the 40.334 million employed workers recorded last year. Meanwhile, a total of 972,379 Filipinos were granted livelihood assistance and emergency employment, and more than 17,000 workers affected by the temporary closure of Boracay Island were given financial support amounting to 448 million pesos sourced from the President's Contingent Fund. As to workers' welfare, the DOLE, through the Employees Compensation Commission, provided 2,302 rehabilitation services to persons with work-related disabilities. The department notes a total of 1.9 million overseas Filipino workers provided with on-site assistance such as case management, custodial services, repatriation, assistance, and livelihood assistance. The department also launched the Overseas Filipino Bank to provide efficient and low remittance service rates and profitable investment offers to OFWs. The OFW e-card was also introduced, providing OFWs easy access to welfare services, scholarships, training programs, and social benefits from the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Thank you for watching the year-end special, which also happens to be the first 2019 episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. Let us welcome the new year with hope for success and a brighter future for ourselves and the country. I am Miguel Hill, and from all of us at the Philippine News Agency, a Happy New Year!